They've been friends going on 20 years and now stepping into one of the most dangerous behaviors of a lifetime, having an opinion and openly talking about it on the internet. It's Pinche and the Gringo.
And we're back again.
Again, we keep doing this.
Every week. Well, we try to do it every week.
Yeah. We did pretty good, man. Like I said, this is almost as regular as probably the still most stable regular thing I have in my life right now. Just doing Thursday. I know exactly what I'm doing Thursday.
No, exactly.
The other 6 days of the week, stuff's up for debate.
Yeah. Here and there. Stuck at work, doing work stuff.
Dude, I have not logged. Last night I logged off at 1 a.m. The night before that, somewhere close to midnight. And the night before that. And that wouldn't be bad if I could sleep in, but I have fur children that I'm the only one who can actually attend to. So they're either 5 a.m. decide we must pee, or they'll let me sleep in to 6:30. That's it. And it's like just let me sleep. And they're like, no.
No, you can't.
we have to pee.
So we have a few topics to discuss today. Trump now wearing a face mask. Cashless Society, pros and cons. Detaining protesters.
Yep.
We're also going to revisit the minimum living wage conversation that we had.
Yeah.
Started last week. And some interesting stuff came up with that actually last night. But we'll talk about that soon. And U.S. Army groomed children
on Twitch. Yeah, with a false giveaway. And then there's some things around massive bans and whether they can actually do it considering they're a public entity. So it's kind of ties into some of that stuff. But dude, I don't
remember what they did back in the day with that. During our time when they were trying to when they were trying to get us at it, because they created a video game, didn't they?
Yeah. There's that actually is still one of the primary. That's still first person shooter giveaway. That's still out there. It's been out there for a while, and it's heavily. So it's like everybody doesn't understand military budget. Well, I guarantee you, one hell of it's going to a development group that's building their first person shooter, maintaining it, and upgrading it. But man, they really should stop taking the lowest bid, because something you don't want to suck at is a video game.
Yeah.
It's like government contract. We'll take the guy on the Nintendo Switch.
But first up, let's talk about it. Trump's face mask. So
you have to fill me in, dude, because like I said, I saw some tweets and some memes on it, and I'm like, what's the deal? Because I knew there was.
So Trump is finally starting to listen, I guess, and I don't know if it's listening or if it's just like pandering to the masses, but he's started to wear a face mask, and he tweeted about it. He tweeted about it on the 20th. So let me go ahead and bring that tweet up, and he posted a picture with it too. So let's go ahead and go to that. So this is his tweet. We are united in our effort to defeat the invisible China virus. And many people say that it's patriotic to wear a face mask when you can't social distance. There's nobody more patriotic than me, your favorite president.
Jesus, dude.
Wow.
Jeebus, dude. I mean, and I think we were joking about this, dude, but I think he is a white Kim Jong-un. I think that's why those two get along so well, because like Kim Jong-un is like, me, fearless leader. I have done everything right. Our country is great. Most of my people are dead, dying, and starving, but I have cool parade. He's on that.
Yeah.
He's really on that. Plus, on top of it, let's talk about there's a definite failure in intelligence there. Can you pull up that photo again real quick?
Yeah. Let me bring it up again. Oh, wrong one. It's over here.
Just put up the password. So what's missing in this picture? What is one thing a politician has to do all the time, especially when they're in the middle of a new campaign where they're seeking re-election?
They have to pander to the masses.
Exactly. So that's one of them. But here, let's also look at this aspect of it. His own. I mean, why isn't that a Trump 2020 mask? Why isn't it not a re-election pitch at the same time all the time?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, missed opportunity here, dude. Come on, use your stuff. And it's like, and then come on, presidential seal. All right, let's talk about a few things.
But well, it makes it official if he has a seal.
What did that cost me? What did that cost you?
Probably like $300.
Right, $1 million or some shit. And then knowing this genius level of stuff in this country, not just speaking to Trump and his administration, but they ordered that from China. They're on some Chinese Etsy store. Put some graphic designer in the White House that's like the uncle graphic designer kind of thing. My kid could do graphic design. Is loading a GIF of the presidential seal to the China Etsy store. Said, "Give me 500 masks." Send. It's what?
With my presidential seal on it. It's a nice looking mask, though. I'll give him that. That's a quality mask.
It's like foam, right? It's kind of that thick foam.
It looks thicker. It looks thicker than just a regular mask.
What was the date of that tweet again? I need to see the
20th. July 20th. So, like 3 days ago.
I'm trying to get to the actual statement. It's just I'm looking at that bit of hypocrisy. Being an arrogant ass is any politician. This is pure hypocrisy. And that's disgusting hypocrisy. And people are going to be like, "Oh man, they hate Trump." Look, I don't give a damn what president's in the office. I'll crap on all of them equally any day of the week. And he's
then people say,
so he's the one I'm going to crap on.
A lot of people say, "Well, you can't talk about our president like that." I was like, "We're in America."
Yeah, there's this thing.
Like we can talk about that.
We can't, however, by law and with complete reality, especially the fact is you can't threaten the man, and there's no reason to really threaten the man in the first place. I mean, not liking his position, not liking how he's performing, not liking some of his policies, not liking him as a person, not liking his hair, that's all fine, but you still can't threaten. I mean, that's right. Just stupid. That'd be the same as, I mean, you're threatening any person. A position of power, a position of celebrity, a position of anything doesn't grant the person a life.
Here's one of the replies to it. It's James. He's replying to the real Donald Trump. "Chief, I'm not sure where you're going with this, but I support you, sir. One thing is still certain, though. I ain't wearing no effing Bane muzzle."
A Bane muzzle? I know some really talented cosplayers out there right now that are making some kick-ass masks, so you could totally throw down with the Bane muzzle.
Yeah.
And look good. There's some really good masks going on out there that people are putting together, especially considering the minute level of protection that we're being told to utilize. That and playing to his, like I said, I mean, his hypocrisy of not doing the mask thing. Well, actually, I could be completely wrong. Did he ever publicly voice animosity, disgust, dislike, disagreement with the use of mask and or am I he
said "Well, I'm president. People don't want to see me wearing this."
But at the time, it was a CDC recommendation.
And he said, "I don't think it's something that we really need to do."
Yeah, so he was disagreeing with the science at that point, and
He
essentially.
always disagrees with the science.
Oh yeah. So okay.
I mean, he's doing the same thing with like forcing kids to go to school when we're not ready, especially not here in Texas, much less in San Antonio.
So I speak truly, and I feel solid in the statement of just the pure hypocrisy of the man. There are definitely certain people in this world, and he is one of them, that will backtrack along their own tracks in the snow, and you can tell that there were 2 steps made in the same spot in the snow, and they'll be like, nope, it's just one. And that is Donald Trump. He's definitely that type of person. He would lie to himself. He could have a message on the mirror that he wrote himself and totally remembers it and be like, I didn't do it. And it's just a vain hypocrisy. It's a pathetic amount of hypocrisy, and it's actually just a real symbol of the instant gratification society stuff that we have right now. But if we look, so
he's the personification of that.
Oh yeah, he's an absolute key. The only thing is, the generation that he's supposed to be should be miles different from that.
Yeah.
But he was the monetary, the money
millennial.
He was raised. What?
Trump is a millennial.
It's like, no, he's not.
He's acting like one.
Yeah, he severely is, and that's just.
No offense to all millennials, but
I don't know, and maybe I'm just thinking. Maybe I think, I mean, actually, he's successful in his tweet, because his tweet is doing the things that he always wants to do when he speaks, to drive his base and his support into a mouth-frothing frenzy, and then those who are not.
I'm sure he's not the only ones that write these tweets that he does. He has somebody doing it for him.
Which is even scarier, because that means the stupid is widespread.
Right, but here's what the undertone is. He puts in there, nobody's more patriotic than me, putting, oh yeah, I'm super patriotic, than your favorite president. So it's saying, oh, yeah, maybe he is my favorite president. Well, he's not mine, but it's kind of like putting that out there, kind of like...
He's trying to create a history because he knows he will be the only memory of his presidency 20 years from now will be staunch people who for some reason are still buying his BS. Other than that, it'll be like, I mean, dude, if I had to rank presidents, and you know how I felt about this one, I'd back Junior before him. And you know how much I loved Bush Jr. I mean, if I would take, if it was a kickball game,
I've said that before. I was like, I would take Junior.
I think we'd had that same agreement. Because it's and I try not to take a lot of the personal antics of his into my considerations of voting, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't care who you are. The screwy system we have has put you in the position to receive a vote choice from me potentially, and it comes down to your policies. Because I mean, I've said it before. Pick a politician. I don't care who they are. They're all trash. I don't have respect for any of them, and it would be very difficult to earn that respect. And then it just comes to policies. And I still don't respect you. It's just your policies I can respect. And whether you actually enforce.
I don't like you as a person.
Yeah, exactly.
But this other stuff is aligning my way.
Yeah, that works. You've earned my vote, and that's it. So we'll have to see. There's definitely some stuff.
We're going to see. I need to see where this goes. Does it help? Maybe it will. But is he doing it because he's trying to help? I don't think so.
I don't think it'll quiet that's the other stuff that just drives me bonkers on a daily basis on my timeline. Is I have friends, family, and people who are just looking across the aisle at going, you're wearing a mask, you're a government controlled pussy. Right? Sorry for the harsh words, but that's just what you see. And then you have from the other side, it's like, well, you're not wearing a mask. You're going to get COVID and you're going to die and you're going to affect your children and they're going to die. And you're just like, hey, why don't y'all just kind of shut the hell up and wear your mask or you don't? Because it still
just
comes down to the
it.
same things we said.
Yeah.
If the law is currently in place, you will follow that law.
Yeah.
When that law is unjust or unconstitutional, then by all means, stand up and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting on the internet,
doesn't help.
Yeah, that's not showing us anything. So it comes down to that, and it's not.
So I'm going to keep us to a time.
Yeah, let's hold to it.
Cashless society, pros and cons.
I've never trusted this, and I've never liked the idea.
A cashless society?
I've never wanted to see a fully cashless society. And it's actually one of the reasons that, for the longest time when we worked together, I still didn't have a bank card. Or when I had my bank card, I cashed my check and pulled all my cash out.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, I don't know, maybe it was conspiracy things still abound. But I don't like, if I have cash in hand and it is tender legal amount, I am in control of that tender legal amount. As long as my cash or my value or worth is held on the digital numbers of a computer, it is at the mercy and control of anyone. And if we look at the situation within Portland, if you start to identify those protesters and you want to ruin them and make them difficult and see if you can get them to pull away from the protest, well, it'd be really easy if you start cutting off simple things like all of a sudden their bank accounts don't work.
Right.
They have no access to cash. They can't pay their bills. So now what's your deal? Are you going to keep going downtown and protesting? Or are you going to start trying to get your stuff figured out because all of a sudden you can't pay rent? Bank can't figure out why your money's not available. But you can't pay your bills either. And the landlord don't give a damn. So that's my...
those are some cons for you. So pros for me. I mean the complete ease of use. To be able to just go anywhere, swipe a card, you don't have to pull any money out. Nobody can, if somebody steals your wallet, you can cancel your card.
Yeah.
If somebody steals your wallet, they get your money if you have cash in there.
Yeah, cash goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would align to those pros as well. I mean, there's definitely for especially large transaction, nobody wants to be wielding big amounts of cash and counting stuff in the that's a big old stack of ones. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's what's kind of working right now is happening is we're kind of almost at a cashless society. You had talked about it earlier.
The coin shortage.
That a friend of yours was telling me. Well, the coin shortage, but the majority of people use credit cards now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that use of it. I mean, we
credit
are
cards or debit cards.
We are very far into that type of cashless society through the traditional portions of the populations, but I'll have to pull the research on it, and I'm sorry I didn't pull it prior to this. Predominantly, it still falls into lower income. And then also immigrants, regardless of status. None of that BS matters. But a lot of our immigrant population, a lot of our lower income population is still very much dependent on cash. And some of that was obviously tried to be handled with switching over and using Lone Star card versus individual books of food stamps, things like that. So if we move to a cashless society, what is the legal tender? How do I pay you for work? It's a loss of freedoms is what it is. You're actually allowing more access, more block and more regulation into things, because now I can't pay Jimmy $20 for mowing my lawn.
Well, yeah,
sure, I can pay him. Right.
All he has to do is you can PayPal him, you can send it to Facebook. So
now this 13-year-old kid who mowed 20 yards every month for the year makes just over the money needed. The 13-year-old kid's got to file income tax, which of course plays into taxes and all that stuff, and it goes into there. but that's the other aspect of it, man. It's like, and
we've also you can buy gift cards. Give them Amazon credit.
It's $20 to Starbucks, $20 to Starbucks. Go get a macchiato on me, kid. It's
you can get like a Visa gift card.
Yeah, I mean it's still there, but you're still moving to that cashless society. I think it's placing barriers, and at the same time of it removing barriers. There's a give and take in there because you have one-on-one personal transactions.
But I think we need to roll. We need to roll with the times, and these older. There's a lot of people, a lot of older people that still write checks. I was like, why do you write a check?
I won't write a check.
I was like, use your debit card.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, so let's look at that as a form of monetary payment. Checks need to go away, but that's me. Mm-hmm. I stopped using them out of the fact that, well, I just sucked at using them, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, the fact that a banking system that, hey, when you overdraft by 25 cents, they can slap you upside your head for $30 in about 0.05 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't put a check through in time.
Yeah.
So it's not in that same thing. So I see the cashless types of things as a replacement.
See, but the thing is, you're passing that through two different banks.
Right. So there's definitely delays in that.
Yeah,
right?
There's a delay in that. And when you use a debit card or credit card, either it goes the next day. What gets me is that when you're getting a refund, it takes you 3 to 5 days to get your money back. I don't like that. I was like, oh, you take my money the next day, but you're going to take 3 to 5 days to get my money back?
Right.
So they can collect interest on it.
They've already loaned your money.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that always boggled my mind with just trying to understand economics. Checks themselves, though, I mean, I'd never liked them because obviously you don't have the control of when they get deposited.
Mm-hmm.
Post-dated checks do have to be honored in some states, and some banks will honor them just as a part of policy. But there's got to be some other financial benefit to the industry for keeping checks, and I think it's because of the high volume of overdraft charges it generates for the institutions that would keep them from getting rid of them altogether. I don't think there's a bank in existence right now that doesn't utilize checks in some way or shape or form. There may be. I could be talking out of my bum. But so checks aside, if we completely eliminate cash.
You won't have to pay for money orders if you don't have checks. That won't be a thing, anything. So that's going to help out society.
Say that again. Money orders. What do you mean?
So let's say you don't have like checks, paper checks, or that you need to pay somebody, and you have to get a money order. You don't need a money order because you can just pay with your card.
So then we have to give. So then, no matter what, we have to set a minimal available credit standard for every person in the world, because right now there's definitely a good number of the population in the United States that have an issue with being they're not able to get a bank account, regardless. Doesn't matter what it is. And that same difficulty with credit being a judgment on whether the person is able to work, which to me is an unfair judgment at 100%. You can be the most skilled, you can have everything you need, you could be in a really bad spot in life financially and not be able to dig your way out of it because jobs look at credit.
Mm-hmm.
And credit in itself being a non-physical monetary way of pay. So by still having some type of monetary physical element, we're still able to keep additional levels of our population working and paid.
Yeah.
Because there's day labor. I had to grow through day labor to really understand how it worked. And I think probably the best thing that I learned and understood day labor was going down to the Via bus stop, the main terminal, for almost 2 years while I was working out there at the university. And being a guy who dug ditches at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, plumbing, sewer, and all that stuff, and then working on new construction sites, and often coming into contact with folks who were day laborers, friends who are out of work and need a job and can get a day labor position, which is a show up, sign up, and they will get you on a truck at a job, and you'll get paid cash at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Cash is still a viable option. The other thing is, though, is how much of this is just the panic of the people. This is the new world order trying to get that new cashless society put in so they can control us all. It's almost like
you can put a card in everyone's hand that all a person has to do is get into an app and they can put money on that card.
Right. So then
they don't necessarily have to have a bank because it's all digital.
You know where I'm going with that then, right?
That they're going to track everything?
Yeah, the conspiracy theorist aspect.
I knew exactly where you're going.
Yeah. So, but not even the conspiracy theorist aspect of it. That's completely viable. You are right now. Go to Google, and look at your Google activity, especially if you use an Android phone. Mm-hmm. Even if you say, Google, don't track me, you're tracked. All of your movements are tracked. The other aspect is look at your advertising ID, which I still reset on my phone about once a week, and I also delete the one for Microsoft too. Mm-hmm. They sell you. You're a commodity, and in that, this ties back to the Cambridge Analytica thing of, based on all of these traits, if we feed this person the right porridge, they'll pull the right switch. So it comes into aspects of control.
I don't know. I change it all the time because I get interested in things all the time. So it's always switching into a new thing, like month by month.
Mine are completely jacked up because I report like crockpot ads as sexually explicit and political ads as violence or pornography. So I'm screwing with that algorithm as much as I possibly can. I don't think cashless is something that comes into there's a problem there. But I think the thing I wanted to tell you about that I thought was funny.
45 Lies asks, who colors Trump's gray orange?
I don't know, but they're getting paid pretty damn good for it.
Probably. Should they, though?
Well,
it's not a good job.
Yeah, right.
I was like, dude, you're old. Come on, blonde hair doesn't last that long. You go gray first.
All right. Well, that's the thing. Actually, is and now just picking on the man and being kind of an ass, but is there a person that's actually paid for dyeing that hair orange? Or is it just that his spray tan person has really crap aim?
Just getting in his hair.
Just oversprays. All right.
And his system is absorbing it, so
it's absorbing it.
If I tell Google MAGA, will it show Trump mega lies? I don't know
what it is. If you ask, because you can get some of that autocomplete stuff, that'd be pretty good on it. So yeah, I'm not
mega
sure.
Magazine, mega hat.
I'm not sure where we go with Cashless Society. There's definitely pros and there's definitely cons. I think the cons is that it's going to cause as many barriers as it's going to remove, and there's some aspects to it. The friend of mine posted that. It's really funny. You have people going, there's a coin shortage, freaking out that there's a coin shortage. And then they're all cashing in their coins and paying the people who are the ones who are responsible for the potential of saying there's a coin shortage. And then you're giving them your coins.
that's another thing that people are having a fit about is like, oh, that's not a thing that's happening. There's not a coin shortage. Okay, here's what happened. So, COVID happened. Well, people aren't working at the mint. They stopped it for I think 3 weeks or something. So, like, these retailers are asking the banks for money. They're like, we don't have it yet. Is it because the mint hasn't made them?
And that's the other thing, though. It's not new coins. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And nobody is even right now. They're dissuading you from using currency. So coins or dollars. So they're kind of forcing you to go with a card. Well, not forcing you. They're suggesting that you use a card.
And that's as much of a petri dish as you might as well just be handing each other coins. But so the other thing that we run into here is you have a large number of people who are all of a sudden homebound, and then it's like, for those who can make it to the store, still like, well, I'm not going to the store. That is one key potential contact point. So I'm just not going to go to the store, or I'm going to extremely limit the amount of times I go to the store. So the family water jar is filling up with pennies and whatever. And if you're employed through all of this, you're not chucking any change in the pennies, and you're not hurting bad enough to go and have to dump them in the Coinstar and hope that they don't rob you for 20% of it so that you can pay your bills. So the coins aren't actually moving. The mint in itself being closed is twofold. They're not pulling coins out of circulation, but they're not adding coins to circulation as well. So it goes about the same. Just the standard quarter, I was trying to see what it said. April 27th, I was trying to pull the number of coins in circulation. It gave me the mint, but the mint's not actually providing too many. Circulating coins, United States Mint produces for everyday transaction. Coins are included in the Mint's annual coin sets, measurements, metal content. Yeah, there's not any numbers directly on their site that I'm seeing, but there's just no movement of coins.
Yeah.
People aren't shopping at stores and then going through it. So, and that's the other beautiful bit of it. It's like, oh, okay, use your card. Okay, so I'm going to take my card, which now from most of my card distributors they produce some type of touchless contact stuff. Still hate that. But because without it, it's like, oh, well, insert the chip. Okay, so you insert the chip. Still haven't touched the machine necessarily. Tell me your PIN or tell me your zip code. So now I'm touching primary index point of every damn person that's been in that store since the last time the thing was clean. So tell me, how is this less of a transitional potential contact point?
Well, you buy one of those things that you touch.
I don't buy
screens
it. 3D
with.
Print my own. Yeah. 3D printing middle finger and just doot doot doot.
Yeah.
But it's in that same aspect.
But
right?
you have that, and you also can pay through your phone.
Oh, never. Never gonna do it, dude.
It's the same thing as one of those cards. It's the same exact technology.
No, because if I'm holding my card and the cell phone, standing up in the parking lot saying, "Anonymous, please steal from me my money on my," please don't. But the phone is an accessible point of theft. The plastic with its chip is not. The phone is a vulnerability. The card is less so. Not saying it's not, but it is way less so than a phone.
I don't know. We'd have to look at the technology for that.
Well, I mean, if we go into card scan, RFID stuff,
yeah.
I mean, there's definitely technology that's there to do it that makes them both more viable. But the phone.
We digress, though. We digress.
Yeah, we did kind of get it. Kind of going down. This is what happens on 4 hours of sleep, man.
So detaining protesters.
Yep, next topic. So Portland, dude. Portland, okay.
So you're going to have to school me in on this one because we just talked about it and I had no idea about what was happening in Portland.
Yeah, so Portland's still going off, man. It's still going off. There's protests practically every night and large crowds downtown. And of course, this is finding information through a shadow type of media because the media is not talking about it anymore. It's not important. It's not key until something happens. Well, now you start getting unmarked rental cars with camouflage, face covered, armed, basic label, police.
But at least they're wearing masks.
Oh yeah, they are wearing
masks. They're being safe.
For the mask. Yeah, there we go.
They listened to Trump's tweet.
They saw it. They did. They saw the tweet, and they're like, "Well, he sent us here to illegally arrest people without actual without probable cause. So we'll support the commander-in-chief by wearing our mask." But that's exactly what's going on. Is you have unmarked vehicles. Essentially, it started a little bit. There were early reports of this where it basically looked like a mob kidnapping. You had a black unmarked van with a police car in the front, police car in the back, pull up and basically yank a dude in the van and drive off. And the more recent stuff, and this is Trump signed the document for it because they are supposedly Department of Homeland Security that are roving the streets in unmarked cars and arresting without indication of the arrest. Most of the detainees that I've seen, they go peacefully. Because, I mean, we're going to resist the unmarked gorilla?
Yeah.
No. So they go peacefully, and it's, but there's no indication. Now, the cop doesn't have to tell the public what a person's being arrested for. The person that is being arrested, though, is supposed to be informed why they're being arrested. So I looked up, if you haven't checked him out, check out Raketa Law. He does a really good explanation on various things that are happening in pop culture, and he explained on whether these arrests are legal or not. And essentially, Trump has the power to send federal police, essentially, into any state, any city, for the effort of protecting federal property or federal law. Now, this isn't Trump as a tyrannical president. These were laws that were pretty much in place for a long period of time, strengthened up by Bush Jr. in the Patriot Act, and completely rubber stamped through the Obama administration to continue.
So this was around federal.
No, actually, it's been a variety of places. So you have.
So then it's overstepping his bounds.
That's what it appears. But so there's I couldn't find it. It may have disappeared again. But supposedly, even the Department of Homeland Security honcho said that they were detaining protesters proactively. That's secret police arrest type of stuff.
Right.
Now this is the reason I bring this up is because what we're going to have is we're going to have a split audience on this. Doesn't matter whether you're for Trump or not, but the split audience, you're going to have people who are going, "Oh yeah, arrest those damn protesters," and then you're going to have the others, which I side with, is that's absolute bullshit. And those screaming on the side of, yeah, arrest those protesters, need to remember that when the secret police pull up in front of their door, they better hope the other people screaming that it's BS now will scream it's BS for them too, because there's nothing in that warrants those arrests. We're not seeing it because normally, and Raketa Law explained it really well. He says essentially, cops pull up, cops arrest a guy, guy disappears, drives off, and you're like, "Hey, what happened to my buddy Johnny?" Next morning, you get up, you check the public police records, so Johnny was arrested on a charge of whatever. That's fine. You know, it's a legit arrest. You know what police station is in. You know where he's at. In this situation, there's nothing. We don't have anything yet. And there's been a pretty decent number of this occurring. And we're not seeing these voices come back out to say, "Hey, I got arrested for this. What the hell?" Kind of like some of the arrests that were going on during Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
Where they get arrested and then they could come out and say, "Yeah, I got charged for this. What the hell?" And then, suddenly the charge is dropped. And I think that's what you see is a really dirty lesson of law enforcement taking the lessons of Occupy Wall Street and going, hold them longer. Now, if you have the ability to do so, and you have the evidence and probable cause to do so, then you're following all the law.
But don't you have to be in the majority of like cities? Don't you have to be charged? Or they can only hold you for what, 24 hours?
Yeah, it depends on cities. It does depend on states, not cities. I think it depends on states is where the primary law comes into it. For federal police, though, it comes down to they need to. So let's talk about the fact that they're unmarked. Unmarked is they're pulling up in not even fake, like same color paint job labels like we have on our highway narcs here. They're just rental cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then what amounts to 4 thugs jumping out in the same birthday party uniforms.
Yeah.
With a Velcro sticker that says police.
Mm-hmm.
We have documented evidence of falsified police. We have documented evidence of kidnapped women, robberies, murders, all tagged to falsely identified police. And now we're letting what appears to be jackbooted thugs.
Yeah, you can get a police Velcro patch on Amazon.
Yeah, there's nothing there. I mean, our SAPD cops, every other city's cops that I've been into, and when I'm pulled over for hot-footing it or something, I'm never speeding. I get pulled over and we have our conversations.
Right there.
Yeah, you get pulled over and the officer, they come up, they identify themselves, and ask you start going through their questions. But the thing that's available is you have identifying factors. It used to be, well, they have a badge, that's a cop. They have the patch, that's a cop, those kind of things. But it had to escalate to be, well, that's their badge. There's his clipped-on ID card with his photograph, with his name tag, with his badge number. These things match. They're things that you can look for the validity of the police officer that's pulled you over. It's also for your purpose of tracking records later, should you need internal affairs. But this isn't even occurring here.
Yeah.
It's really surprising that there's not more violence that's occurred in that aspect of more self-defense minded people. A lot of self-defense minded people are also going to look downtown at the city of Portland and go, yeah, that's one of those places I'm just not going to go right now. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that makes the population a little bit easier for them to pick off without worry of much retaliation or resistance.
Mm-hmm.
But it still comes to I can't find a place where any of this is warranted in this country. Nothing like this is supposed to get a pass here.
Not in America, no.
Don't care what state. Don't care if it's Trump's country or not. It's not his country. It's ours.
Mm-hmm.
But none of this fits. And it's the even more concerning is the guys with the boots on the ground that are willing to do it.
Mm-hmm. That really bites.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so what is next for this? Because he's threatened to put it out to other countries too. Or not other countries.
Other cities.
Yeah.
He says it at press conferences. If they can't handle it, we're going to send them in.
Now, I actually, because when I was like, man, I was really pissed hearing it, right? I was really pissed hearing it. And then that's where I wanted to look into the legality of it. So there's some really dirty pool going on, obviously, but they're also within certain bounds of the law. And then the actual implementation by the president or a governor, for that matter, of federal type police or the military, for that matter, or the National Guard. You can look at, I just lost the date of it, but desegregation of schools.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at some of our first the black students going to the white high school, and they had there was the National Guard.
Yeah.
That escorted them in. So you could see that it's like, hey, you can't handle your state. We're going to do that for you to ensure that it complete doesn't come apart at the seams.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and everything we're seeing on the video footage is. There's been some stuff in front of the courthouse, which I believe is a federal courthouse. So that's right and privilege. That fits their law. The other films you're seeing are basically on side streets or appear to be away from a structure, but I don't know Portland from Kalamazoo. So we don't know that this is shot on the corner of that federal building. or that the individual in question is not being sought after because of probable cause for arrest based on.
Or you could be in front and you could be in the sidewalk and you can be on a sidewalk.
Say that again. I kind of talked over you.
Or if you're like on a sidewalk in front of a federal building or something, but you're on a sidewalk, you're still.
Yeah, at that point, you're still under the control of the federal police and federal security of that building.
Even on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
A public sidewalk?
It's a public sidewalk, but the building itself, depending on where the boundaries are considered, is you fall under the security of that building. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting law. Like there's some thoughts that you're not actually within the care or control until you cross a threshold.
Yeah, but I think if you're on a sidewalk, because I've seen like numerous videos and stuff on YouTube on this, if you are on the sidewalk, a public sidewalk, it should not apply to you, because people like people are like photographing and stuff like that from the sidewalk, like of a federal building. They can do that all they want, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop them.
Unless you're in camouflage, masked up, wearing a Kevlar helmet, and have a police badge on a fake-looking Velcro police on your chest, because dude, it got nasty out in front of it. But that's what I mean by the property thing too, is because if you look at a lot of U.S. So as you pass by bases, we do it all the time where we live because we have plenty of them. Mm-hmm. Property, U.S. government property, I forget, and you have that fence line. That ground outside of the fence technically should be considered public space, public property, or county property.
Now, if you cross that, then that's when they can go after you.
Right, but will you possibly be detained, visited, questioned, whatever, being on that outside area of the fence? Absolutely. Because there's just it comes into probable cause and reasonable suspicion. So same thing for me. I mean, I had the SA police helicopter circling me over on 281 when my bike broke down right there at the exit underneath the runway lights.
Yeah.
I'm broke down. I can't do anything with my bike. And so I'm just waiting. I'm calling to get a ride. I'm trying to get a tow truck and all that stuff. And I get the SAPD police chopper circling. I'm like, what do you want me to do, man? The bike's broke down, genius. And I'm looking at it, trying to fix it. I don't know. I guess they thought I was some sort of terrorist. I mean, I must have looked at it with my bright orange "Don't Run Me Over" jacket on. I wound up, they didn't fly away.
Is it when you had your like long beard?
I think I did have my beard, but I had my 250. I mean, I had my helmet off, but yeah. Now I see where you might have gone. But they actually didn't fly away until I pushed my bike, because I wasn't going to leave the thing on the highway. I pushed it up into oncoming traffic of the on-ramp to get off the highway, and then they flew off. So I'm not on airport property. I'm on a public highway, but I got harassed by a helicopter. So there's definitely some windows in there, and it's reasonable suspicion. It's like, what's this dude doing with the bike down here? And it's some years back, so a lot of concerns and suspicions of things are still present. I don't know, maybe I'd have pulled something out of an orifice that they couldn't see. But yeah, it's interesting to see what's going on in Portland. It's definitely easy to be against what is happening when you're seeing it through the filtered lens of a protester cell phone or media cell phone. So I'll be honest, I'm not going down there to get the real story for any of y'all. I mean, I learned a long time ago, dude, when your sixth sense tingles, you leave. But it'll be interesting to see where some more of this progresses and what, if anything, comes of it. There is a lawsuit filed by the mayor against Department of Homeland Security. They filed suit against it. Yeah, they filed some suits. We'll see where they go with it for sure. Keep an eye on it. So we have, we're going to there's some other, we have two there, but let's jump to the minimum living wage. That was a good conversation. We wanted to revisit it. The last two with the U.S. Army groomed. The U.S. Army essentially using pedophilic tactics to groom children is something we'll come back to on another one, because it's still a hot topic and there's still stuff going on with it. And then I'm going to add another topic you'll see there for next week too. But So you had fun conversations around. We landed where we think that let me recap it. I think you and I both landed that we feel that the minimum wage in itself should increase somewhat, and it didn't keep up with the changing of the world and capitalism. But doing a massive leap to 15 across the board would be detrimental to the economy, and the recovery of it would far outweigh the benefits of the immediate in-pocket reward. Does that sound like where we kind of both were at the end of the last conversation?
Yeah, that's where we were.
So where kind of adventures have you had on that conversation?
So I didn't even bring it up. I had a conversation. It was actually one of my son's birthdays, my middle son, and it wasn't him. He didn't start it. But my younger son was there, and he's really big on Facebook right now, and he's like he's really big into Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. Black Lives Matter. And he wants to change the world, and he has to realize that the world's not going to change with it immediately. It's going to take some time. But he's talking that, all these people, everybody should be paid a living wage so you can buy your own home and live there and live well and not have to struggle. I was like, being in a minimum wage job, you're there to struggle to make you realize, I want to do more for my life. I need to do better. I want to move on and get more skills or get more training so I can advance myself and make more money. I shouldn't get paid $15, at least in San Antonio, for making fries.
So let's take the 15 number out of it, right? And this will maybe help shape the conversation a little bit. So I can see his point, and I imagine he doesn't know it, but the same point that we discussed on the last one was it mid 50s was the last time, but at that point, minimum wage, a person could support themselves on minimum wage, live and go to college to improve status, skill set, whatever, while on minimum wage without having to put in 72 hours in a work week, a single work week. So if we look at a living
but are we sure
wage,
about that?
We've got document history that proves that there's enough paperwork and data that supports it. I'll see if I can dig it up. I'll dig it up for our next one, because I'm kind of in the same boat with him, but not in the amount of going, everybody gets $15. And it doesn't matter. It could be 15, could be 17, could be 11, whatever. That number's not important.
I mean, it should definitely go up. It should be more than what is it, 775 or 725?
Right.
Whatever it is right now.
Right. So I actually, and maybe it's utopian, and when I was much younger, I mean, I worked 3 jobs. Most of the time, from the time I was 11, I did door-to-door sales in San Antonio. I sold the San Antonio Light newspaper all over Texas and did trips on that. I sold candy door-to-door. Once I could work, I worked a total of 3 different jobs at the same time. When I was an adult, I worked 3 different jobs at the same time, and they were all full-time or close to full-time jobs. So I would work 8 to 5 as a plumber. I would get off at 5 o'clock on Friday and then go to a pizza joint. And I made and drove pizzas until about midnight or so. And then I left there and went and worked at the bar until the bar closed. Saturday, I did the pizzas. Maybe I was on call for sewers, and then I did the bar. 40. If we were to be in a position of 40 hours a week that a person could by themselves. So let's look at the perfect application. I am a single person. I have a single-sized dwelling. I work 40 hours a week, maybe some overtime as needed. I can pay my bills. I can feed myself, right?
Which you can do that on minimum wage. You can. It's not. You're not going to get everything that you want. You can't have cable, but you can live on.
You can't have rent.
No, you'd have to be. Whatchamacallit with somebody else. You'd have to be roommates with somebody else in order to do it.
Right, but that's the thing. If you're at a roommate, you're no longer at a one. You're no longer at a one bedroom. I'm talking about a single person dwelling, single person income.
Mm-hmm.
So single person dwelling, single person income, single person job.
Yeah, but if you're on minimum wage, you don't get that.
That's what we're leaning to.
But why should you have to? Why should you? Why do people feel obligated to have that?
So let's kind of level set something. Is we're not giving anybody anything. They're still working. They're still putting in the minimal whatever hours that would fit this basic standard of living.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not starving to death and doing 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week just to maintain being able to pay only one bill. Like you said, though, there are some expanded things, and I get into this too, but so you're not going to have internet and you're not going to have cable. Well, for me, internet should be a utility. TV.
You might not get to live in a nice area or a nice house or a nice apartment. You're going to live in a lesser apartment.
So into that same societal thing, right? If we're on a better minimum wage, do we even have bad sides of town?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Is the possibility that through the betterment of society that we don't have as bad a side of town? Because what are most bad sides of town directly related to?
To class system and poverty.
Low income.
Low income.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we have now, trust me, I'm the guy who was staunchly against the fair minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that has to change in that. And it's because we're not trying to bring anybody down. We want is putting
They're
people
trying to
on
bring
a fair
people up. They're trying to bring everybody and make it a fair playing field. It doesn't happen though. Here's what happens in economics. Here's what's going to happen. So it goes to $15 an hour. Okay? $15 an hour, or it even goes to 17, whatever it is. So that really craps on small business. So it's going to completely destroy small business because they can't pay $70 an hour. Or the people that are working full time, you can't work full time anymore because I can only pay this amount of people $17 an hour, and I can't have the 5 that I had before. I can only have 2.
So what if it's not $17 an hour? Because it's just like anything else. What's the price of a gallon of milk in Texas versus the price of a gallon of milk in California? $15 in Texas. $15 in Texas is not bad.
Yeah, $15 in Texas is well. It depends on where you are in Texas.
Well, yeah, for us, right? So let's look at just
San
our
Antonio.
City. $15 would be pretty good. I mean, I've made
it's
that
decent.
payroll before, and I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is just the right number for that economic area? So if we look at minimum wage and we say minimum wages, so actually we're in the situation to do this right now. It's just employers won't do it either. Because if it's a matter of saying, well, no matter what, you have to at least pay $7.25, but you can pay anything up above that you want, right? That's the situation we're currently in.
Right.
If I want to pay my employees $12, I can pay my employees $12. Like Bill Miller's, I think the starting is now, I think it actually jumped
$10.
Didn't it go from they actually had a really like 10, and then I think it went to 10.95 or something like that.
Yeah,
I've seen that on some of the signs downtown. But if we're,
but a lot of the places,
it's not that we make the leap all the way out there, but to get things started. Because no matter what, if we stay at the lower number, right? We're talking if we go to $15 an hour across the board, there's economic detriment. Is probably the biggest looming possibility. You have a great monetary increase for the employees that were not at that number all of a sudden.
Right.
In turn, you have the great economic increase of pricing, because it's, some people will be like, well, my product just went up to $19.95. So that occurs.
Right.
But if we're smaller than that, if we're your minimum is $10 an hour. How many does that actual affect? How many people right now in the state of Texas make $7.25 an hour? Based on that, if we bring those folks to $10 an hour, those jobs, it's 40 hours, $3, it's $120 a week minus taxes. So let's just say 100, right? Based on that tax bracket and that potential payroll. So it's on average $200 more per week, or per pay period per person. Remember $200, dude, when we weren't making anything like that, when we were making these kind of numbers, what $200 did?
Yeah, but what does $200 do now? And what will it do in the future? Because once they do that, then stuff gets passed on to the consumer. You pay more for products. There's this utopian thing. There is this point to where it should be. There is the threshold that there should be. Where that threshold is, I don't know, but there's a threshold that you can not go above. That would be okay. Curve? Yeah.
So it is. Economic curves. Because there's definitely a point of teetering, and that's what I'm saying is we definitely have organizations and people are screaming like 15 now, and it's that's caught on. Where I don't recall, where did that start? Did the 15 now kind of start in California?
I think it did start in California. Which
is insane for California. It'd probably be like 25 now, just considering the lack of living accommodations in general out there and populous things. But I think there is an economic number within each city that can be obtained, right? And in that, are there any states that have a larger minimum wage than the federal mandate? Minimum wage rates by state 2020. Because I know I'm trying to think of a documentary I followed where a young
California is $12, Florida is $8.46, Arizona is $11, Oregon is $11.25. Texas is $7.25 as of February 24th, 2015.
Right. So let's look at that number, right? So these are the individual states mandating that number. So if that number, even at a minimal jump of $1 to $2 an hour per state, so maybe federal minimum wage is the problem by the Fed saying, oh, it only has to be $7.25. Is it potentially I'm going to probably use the wrong economic term here, but is it actually more along the lines to make a determination of what a state's minimum federal wage should be, which would be a number that teeters on that curve of absolute living okay to potential poverty, depending on your choices type of number. But is it something that is actually better determined as a percentage of, like, say, I'm assuming a state GDP?
There's an easy way to fix this. without forcing it on everybody is the people that pay $7.25 don't patron them.
Yeah, and then that's societal though, because I remember all the jobs that I had as a young person were necessity.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they worked out. So my door-to-door stuff and all that was a job I could get because I was underage. So I could easily sell stuff door-to-door. I could sell the San Antonio paper. I could do all that stuff, and I could be underage and it didn't matter. And still make some cash on the end, right? So that was that job. And you're at the whim of that pay. And you're at the whim of that employer. And then so it comes into knowledge skill set, like knowing that you can tell an employer to stuff it and walk away is one thing. Having the fortitude and the stability in your own life to be able to actually do it though is no easy thing. And so then where does your next job come for a good population? And this is more my story but I imagine it might be familiar to some other people. How did your next job come about? Got fired from the last one, and that was the first one I heard that was hiring, and I needed to make some bucks. That's a lot of it. And then the other one is you got about 9 months to get your crap together, kid. How about going into a trade so you can support that kid?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be a plumbing apprentice, which is still one of the best gigs. I wish I could still do plumbing. I mean, damn good gig. So it's ooh. The argument was just that it's like everybody should have everything equally and there shouldn't be any problems with the world. Was that the argument?
Yeah. Nobody should have to struggle.
Yeah.
What is struggling?
I love that vision.
But what does struggling teach you?
It does.
It teaches you how to be stronger.
Failure and adversity does, no matter what, it does make you stronger. Plus, on top of it, see, I can see his utopian vision, right? I had that utopian vision too. Could you imagine if there was no BS and everybody was in? Maybe it's not true, right? What I'm about to say. But there are still elements that even in the most utopian, perfect place of world would find a way to make money off of poisonous plants. There's still the element. There's still the crime. All of it would still be there. So I'd look at that same. I look at his vision too, and I'm just like, I see your vision, but I see the problem with it too.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's.
But when you look at it, when I first started working at 16, I was paid here in San Antonio, in Texas, $4.25 an hour. That was minimum wage back there in 1991.
Yeah, I remember $5.25 was like, woo-hoo.
Yeah. $4.25. I mean, my mom, when she started working, I think she made $1.75 an hour.
Yeah, that would fit. U.S. minimum wage by year. Oh man, they used a graph. Give me numbers.
But here's the thing.
September 3rd, 1963 was $1.25 based on the 1938 Act. It makes its next jump in 74. And then actually climbs almost annually from, well, no, it climbs kind of a little bit annually, a good chunk through the 70s, bumps very slightly in the 80s. 4 different bumps in the 90s. And we actually didn't hit a full 7. Wow. I didn't even think about that. We didn't, according to this is the U.S. Department of Labor. We didn't hit 725 until 2009. It's minimum wage. By then I'd been over there for almost 10 years plus, so that wasn't a number I'd even seen for a while.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we're still 10 years out, dude. We're easily 10 years out, 11 almost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
should it
no
be
change.
more? It definitely should be more. Should it be 15? No, it shouldn't be 15.
No, I mean, whether
Not
it
should
be 15, there's a number in there that it should be for sure. And I think it is definitely independent by state and by cost of living within those states.
I would say somewhere in between $9.25 and $10.
For our area?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like, that's probably a pretty good question to ask. So if we go through our kiddos, I'll check with mine and just kind of have a conversation with them. Check with, unless you know what they're making.
Mm-hmm.
And let's kind of bring that back to let's keep this conversation going for a little while, because this conversation around.
None of mine are making minimum wage though.
Right, but I mean, so
that's
strike
the thing.
for 15, right? So strike for 15 or whatever has been going on pushing for quite a while. So let's see where they're at, and based on that, so.
Like early on in our careers,
do you need two salaries in your house to just survive?
Now we do, yeah. That's you need two salaries to survive.
But I'm an introvert and I hate people. I have a cat.
Now it's okay because it's during COVID and nobody has to go to work. Well,
but I need two people to pay bills. We need two salaries just to be able to pay an average rent in San Antonio.
Yeah, it's not like the 50s anymore.
Right, and so pay should match.
It's just a change in times.
And there's some definite change that needs to
occur. It's a change in time, but
I can't see us telling kids to go to college.
Why were people paid so much in the 50s? Why were men paid so much in the 50s? Because they were single
income
families, single income families.
Yeah, typical nuclear family, single income.
Yeah. You can't do that anymore.
Not at that number, not at 725.
No, but now we have, equality for women too. Yeah, but so now they want to go out and work too.
Right.
Well, some of them don't, but.
Right. But is there? I mean, I think I muted you, or you self-muted as you were cussing me out. I hear nothing. You can still hear me though? Hey, this might be the perfect time to call it a show. Shall I see us out? Or you want to see if you can fix technical real quick? All right, I'll give you a sec. You're lucky I can read lips. I will ramble incoherently in the interim. So let's I mean, if you're in Central, I know I've got a lot of students that I had the benefit and absolute extreme pleasures of being able to teach while at UIW. And I know a lot of those guys, they're early 20s, some even in just the late teens, mid 20s. What is your position? What are you dealing with if you're in that single income at that amount? There you are. Here's something right there. There we are. Got you. Cool. So just looking to our audience, it's like if you're in this, we're as an older generation, we're through our efforts, through age through time, we're beyond at this point, hopefully not sliding back down the chute to somewhere near minimum wage. But so let's look at if we have anybody in our audience running around at our age group that's in those numbers, give us your input. If you don't want to give it in a comment or something like that, you know me personally somewhat, the people I'm talking to, or Do we have? You can't message just through Facebook, can you? Or through YouTube, can you? It'd have to be a comment.
I think you can message, but you have to. It's complicated.
Okay.
We need to create a Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll need to put something together so that we can give you guys a place to send that type of stuff, and so we can still be conversational but maintain some anonymity for you.
Yeah.
Use one of them big words. So it's definitely there. We'd like to hear to understand more, and then looking at. Let's use two different terms because I've heard it used two different ways. The 5 for 15, which is its own specific type of push, and then is it basic income? Lost you. I got basic a lot of static. There you are. There you are.
Basic income. I had to reset my thing because it was blinking.
Oh, signals.
Yeah.
So around basic income. So definitely want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, let us know.
So we'll bring some of our topics we had back around.
Yeah.
For 9. Yeah. Shut her down.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and so what did we talk about today? We talked about
stuff and things.
Trump mask, the Cashless Society pros and cons, detaining protesters with unmarked cars in Portland, and the minimum living wage conversation again. So that was it. I think next week we're going to go ahead and dive into the U.S. Army grooming children for Twitch. They did that to us back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I'd really like if we can get some of the folks that we know that are, because we do have an equal number of friends kind of that are representative of time in service. So it'd be kind of cool to see what they say on how they were influenced for the drive that took them to the military path.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. So if you have anybody, if you want to message that out, let us know, because I'd kind of like to hear your input on it. And then what we're talking about is predominantly the U.S. Army using a fake giveaway to drive Twitch viewers, regardless of age, to a website that was basically a data gathering tool. And then they're also doing mass bannings. The other one we talked about, do you want to talk about that second one there?
Which one?
Under the episode 10, regarding the homeowners they're now being charged with felony. They've got felony criminal charges for, I think I didn't read the exact charges, but I'm sure it's got to be along the lines of brandishing weapons for those peaceful protesters who broke into private property and they just went out and guarded their home with firearms.
Oh, yeah.
Here's they've been charged. Actually, the governor of the state already said he just pardoned them as soon as they're convicted.
Oh, nice.
Which is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
One of them's a lawyer, and then we'll see what kind of shenanigans the world gives us to add to that list. If there's a topic you want us to talk about,
who knows what else Trump is going to put on his face?
Yeah,
let's find out.
There's sure to be something else on there next week. Totally missed opportunity, man. I mean, if you're running a campaign, you got like
here's a mega.
Yeah, you got like 6 by 4 inch billboard right there, and he just goes.
Everybody's watching. You should have done it.
Actually, we could the conspiracy theories of covert thing, but basically all the black and dark government activities by a black mask, and then basically a covert government logo down here in the corner. Read that into some weird conspiracy theory. I could stitch something from that. Yes. I'm sure we definitely write some crazy. But other than that,
if you haven't, if you haven't subscribed to us, please click on the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let us know, and give us a comment too. Let us know how cool our gray is.
Yeah, we're working. Yeah, it's time to decide.
It's all coming.
Do we full dye or
my wife won't let me do that.
No.
Yeah.
But yours is farther along. Mine's got this weird patchwork thing that makes me look like kind of an Oreo, really weird cookie type thing. Yeah. It's like, what's this? The C and the... I don't know. Beard's messing with me. But
yeah, I hear you. But
still working for Wizard, though. But good show, my friend.
Yeah, nice very good show. I'm Pinche.
I'm the Gringo.
See you later.
Talk to you later.
And we're out.
Not bad, dude. Only 20 minutes over.